Hey all, welcome to Benchwarmers, a Woso podcast, back online just for this week as we move into episode 21. 21, wow, we are pushing through. Any famous 21s in your head?
Don't. You do this to me every week. You do
Yeah,
this to
you should
me
be ready. You
every
should be ready.
week.
I'm trying to think. Who's your 20? We don't have a 21. There's no way we have a 21.
I don't know if we have a 21.
I think
No, we do have a 21. We do have a
yeah.
21.
Who's
Yeah.
21?
You
I'm
love
going.
her. You love
What?
her.
Who? No. There's no way I love one of your players.
Yeah, come on.
If
Yeah,
it's
come
not
on.
Mariana. I don't know who. I know 21 for Chelsea is Neve Charles, and I don't
Of
love
course.
her. That's all I've got really. Who's your 21?
Victoria
Vicky
Pavlova.
Pavlova, yeah. You know what? She is a sweet treat. And we are going to speak about the sweetest of treats, one of the sweetest of performances. We are going to start in the WSL. The game of the round, the marquee game, the Charsenal Derby. This is a crazy game at the bridge. I don't know what you're expecting here, but I was not expecting what happened because, in my opinion, that might be the best performance I've seen you have this season and probably the best performance you've had since that second leg against Lyon. And I could argue this is even better than that.
I think this is our best 90-minute performance against high opposition team. I think that we've had really good moments against teams like Bayern, even against teams like Lyon, and then also in the Champions League against teams like Real Madrid. But I think against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, the first time in something like 7 years that we've been able to get 3 points, this is massive. And more so the fact that we've been able to do it in a period where we've been questioned. We've been questioned about our results. We've been questioned about our style of play. We've been even questioned about our transfers. So I think for Renee to have the team put out this result, I couldn't have asked personally for anything more because I didn't expect anything much either. I kind of thought that Chelsea weren't in fantastic form. We weren't in very much fantastic form, but we came there and we played them off the park like very easily.
100%. And I think the score is actually the least relevant part of this game. And when you look at, I mean, shout out to all of the people like us who are Frida Marnham stands, but as soon as she gets taken out, your midfield absolutely ran them ragged. There were a lot of questions we're going to ask about Chelsea's midfield because there's one player I'm thinking about that needs to get the hell out of there. But the first half of this match, what were you thinking? I know it didn't really like hit the scoreboard until later on and you hit them with a 1-2 punch. But I think the first half probably set the tone for what you thought was going to happen later on.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of structural rigidity in both teams. I think that when going forward, we were a bit more fluent, especially Arsenal, but I think both teams wanted to attack more. But in the defensive aspect to both games, both teams put on a mid to low block. I think that they both sat in this kind of five back system, particularly Chelsea. As we know, they played in a pseudo back three for most of the game, up to around 60 minutes. So that meant that Lucy Bronze came into right centre back, and then obviously we could have Carpenter on that right full back side. And that meant they just slotted in basically. So in defence, it was pretty much perfect, which meant that we went into the 0.5 all. But I think what really stood out to me were the performances by particularly the centre backs for Chelsea. I think Millie Bright had a really good first half. I think equally on our side, I actually thought that Arsenal, I mean, Emily Fox had a fantastic first half, in my opinion, just running the flank, absolutely killing Baltimore, which I think she's done now for a couple of seasons. And I think it just shows that Baltimore is not necessarily the defender that we think that she could have been even last season when we were touting her as being the best right wing to right back or well, left wing to left back convert.
Well, we do talk about, we've mentioned it before in terms of styles making fights. And I think Emily Fox being the physical, like, terror that she is, like just the recovery runs, the bursting up the line, the fact that Emily can run with Sandy, but Sandy can't run with Emily. And it showed very much so. I thought McCabe did her job to make sure that Carpenter, even when she got her steps past her, that like I think Sandy should have been looking at the McKay v Carpenter matchup probably more carefully and opted for that kind of route of making sure that Emily Fox's moves were lower percentage rather than high. But I mean, the only onus I had that I thought Sonia had a chance in this game was that Walsh wasn't on the pitch, a player that has been creating a lot of their best chances this season. And I thought, okay, maybe if they can bring Kerr into this game past the hour mark, maybe that if Guro's off, you bring in Lauren James, you bring in a bit of firepower, a bit of name gracing, and then you think you have your best names on the field and maybe Walsh can find them. But to take Walsh and James on and then take her off, the firepower just disappeared. They had no attacking stride in that second half. Relying on Alyssa Thompson to run through the centre channels is never going to get you the goals you want. She had that one opportunity that was low percentage because your team stayed back, was very disciplined, but the reality was that I mean, I have to swallow my words, but MBE, Beth Mead, turning up when it matters, turning up at the Bridge, the first time a team has beaten Chelsea at the Bridge in the league, and it's all down to Bethany Mead on that right side, doing the business, being the outlet for a central Alessia Russo, in my opinion, that was absolutely sublime in the 10. This was the best performance I've seen her behind Stina in terms of actually knowing when to hit central, when to find the angles, when to find the wide spaces that I don't really prefer, but you could see the magic that happened, the separation she got from Cuthbert. And even though I thought Cuthbert did quite a good job on your midfield, it was very obvious that as soon as Russo became that deadly threat, the movements, the off-ball movements became the game for you guys, because you had so much ball control in that second half. For a team that was leading, you should not have the ball that much if you're leading by that much at Chelsea's home ground, which is crazy. And then, I mean, the second goal is just magnificent football. The off-ball run from Russo drags the defender, the ball from Mead to Caldente, and then for Mariona to take the step, the composure to slot that into the side. Hampton had no chance. It was too easy. And I mean, a lot of memes about Naomi Girma, a lot of memes about Alyssa Thompson, the triple American threat. But the reality was, I mean, you can't ask for a better performance from Arsenal in the sense of this could arguably be the metronome, like the jump start, the jolt to the season, to the back half of the season that you guys need.
I think that it was less about Arsenal reaching like elite levels of performance. And even though I can say that Arsenal had a fantastic game, I mean, this to me is a standard, very, very good Arsenal game. This is not exceptional because I've seen this level before. This is not outrageous. This is the best of Arsenal. I just think that Arsenal dipped to the worst of our level. I think that they were inefficient. I don't think that they had advanced the ball forward enough. And if they did, it was basically low percentage advances. I think the inclusion of Lauren James meant, and I think Sonia Bonpastor meant it to be that she would soak up that pressure and then leave spaces in behind. But it just didn't work because she was too slow on the ball. And I think that's what happened with most Chelsea players. I think they were too slow on the ball. We were more incisive. We knew exactly what to do. And I think we just had more chemistry on the pitch. I mean, I don't really know how many times this particular lineup has started for Chelsea, but it's not a lineup that I personally would have put out against this Arsenal team just in terms of 1v1s.
I mean, for me, I mean, you know my opinions on Captain. I think the whole world knows my opinions on
like
Captain.
Gura Wrighton, I mean, like I don't understand that midfield.
It was a very interesting decision that a lot of people questioned, but the reality is there is a German leader on the bench that is getting 13 minutes at the back end of this game when the game is already 2-0 down. I think she should be starting. I think she could start for nearly every club in the world. I think if Bayern offer her anything close to what she's worth, she should be making the impetus to get the hell out of there, because I don't know. I want to see her in a Champions League quarter semi-final. I don't want to see her sitting on the bench against your lot, when the reality is that she has the capacity to win games, and we've seen it at the Euros. We've seen her put the team on her back. Even Chelsea having about seven corners this game.
Yeah. Oh no, it was insane. I mean, the amount of corners they had versus ours, it was just wasted. And I think that's what. they had
where's
the whole
Nuskin?
game.
Nuskin's someone who can get them back in the game with a header. She's
sure.
a person you cross to. Yes, Millie Bright is one of them. I'm yet to see Naomi Girma score with her head, and Lucy Bronze when she's on. But this was just one of those games where she didn't have much to do because you knew that you were trying to target that right side of the pitch where Mead was, and I think Ford played a little bit passenger, but not her worst game by any means this season. But
I think she played as evenly as someone like Alyssa Thompson played, but the fact that Alyssa Thompson had so many chances and wasted so many means that a lot of people look to her as an out for the way that they didn't score any goals. But I mean, Alyssa Thompson could only do as much as she can do. I mean, to me personally, I'm asking the question of Kerr. I'm asking the question of the subs that are coming on. I'm asking the question of why are we making someone like Ellie Carpenter doing a lot of attacking work when I don't necessarily think that we should be isolating her to like a fully pseudo right wing position when she's taking pot shots from outside the box like many of the Chelsea players were.
Lucy Bronze as well, taking shots from distance. But then you have the interesting precedent later on in March when Sam will come down here for the Asia Cup. There's one less striker on the field. Macario is probably checked out of this squad. She's not there.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
It's gonna be an Aggie Beaver Jones running the show for Chelsea in March, and that is like Alyssa Thompson and Aggie Beaver Jones are future stars, but they're not. They shouldn't be leading the line for Chelsea week in, week out.
Do you think that there were some players at Chelsea, and I'm specifically looking at the subs, but also Hannah Hampton, that just did not look like they showed up to this game? They looked off. They looked kind of like, to me, like to put it bluntly, like they looked pissed off. They just did not look like they cared. Hannah Hampton, for example, she's one of the best, if not the best distributors with her feet as a goalkeeper. A silly mistake in the first 15 minutes literally nearly gets us a goal through Beth Mead.
Yeah, but she's lucky. She's lucky she actually made, I don't know, she made a myriad of saves for Chelsea to be able to make sure that this game wasn't 3-0, 4-0, right? And if Liv Peng was in goal, who knows what the result would be. I'm not saying that Liv Peng wouldn't have made certain saves. It's just a caliber of goalkeeper is there. But I think there was a mental checkout by the hour. Once Mariona's goal went in, I think a lot of Chelsea fans probably had enough. That was kind of it. There was no impetus to get back in the game, but also I don't blame the players. I blame the manager. This is on Sonia and only Sonia, because the reality is that she set up this three at the back. She thought that her idealism would work to overload the midfield, put the pressure on players like Kim Little and Wubben-Moy, and it didn't matter that there was no Williamson, no Katie Reid. This is nowhere near your first 11 by any stretch of the imagination, and you still walked all over them. And it put you 1 point closer to them, 3 points closer to them, 1 point behind them in that third place spot as we are about to play Chelsea. So that puts you in good stead to be second place if we beat them at the Etihad Stadium. If we play how we did against LCL, I don't see us winning. But I have kind of come to realize in my times that I am not the regular Manchester City fan, because a lot of fans were quite happy with the performance. I don't know what they were watching. I think they were more happy with just the where we played bad and we still won, and that's a sign of champions.
One of those sign of champions.
And I don't like that. I don't care. I would rather my team lose. Honestly, I'd rather the performance we had against Chelsea in the Cup semi-final, where we were all over them, lost the game, than watch what happened against LCL, because there were pockets of that game, like nearly halves of that game, where we were getting walked all over by Maestra's LCL, which, I mean, was in good attendance. Anyone who attended Bromley Park, I mean, you had Alexia, Patri, Mariona, Alyssa Thompson, Ellie Carpenter, and the lovely Michelle Kang all gracing the Copper Jack Stadium.
And Beth Mead.
I forgot about Beth. I completely forgot about
the Chelsea
man of the
players sitting next to the Arsenal players as they've just dunked on them is very funny, I think.
It's almost iconic. I mean, they're all good friends. They're all good friends, are we right? But Charsenal forever, am I right? But I will give my team the credit they deserve in the first 25 minutes, which was very solid, classic I was about to say Rene. I was going to say Rene. Andre chance. Yeah, that's a Freudian slip. But yes, the Yeglert's chance creation machine doing its job. Yui recovering balls, feeding Viv feeding Carolyn, and Bayana plays in my head as she scores goal after goal after goal. And I think Carolyn has become the right wing we all love. And I put in, I don't know if I put it in here somewhere, but I did have a graph that looks at the shooters in the Barclays WSL around like the efficiency of shot versus the amount of shots that they have. So obviously Bunny Shaw gets the most chances, but isn't necessarily the strongest converter. And I don't even think she's overperforming her XG for this year, which is insane, crazy. But players like Fujino and Carolyn are way overperforming their XG. The chances they get, the chances they bury are actually wild. And I think that's so interesting. And it's interesting when you look at it that the two best players in the league, according to like the players who can finish the minimal chances they have, are players like Kirsty Hansen, who we'll get to later on, and Beta Olsen, who sadly is still injured and could save Gazball. But I mean, we had a ripper start to this game, and then after the goal, it was genuine depression. I think my mood dropped completely. I think we just thought we could coast. It was, I mean, for the lack of a better term right now, very Arsenal of us, as Yamashita became quickly our player of the match as you watch through this game. I mean, I don't know how Izzy Goodwin was playing the woodwork challenge mid-game, but she really should have scored. I don't know how Yama saved that. She hit the post, she hit the other post, she hit the crossbar. There's not much more Izzy Goodwin could do, but I mean, eventually they broke the deadlock with a goal from a ripper strike from Freya Godfrey, who was definitely looking like the answer post-Mead on the right side for England. Look, you asked me who am I going to pick, Freya Godfrey or Lauren James. I'm picking Freya Godfrey right now. She's playing way better football. I think Aslani got on top of us very well. I think Corrales and Jana, I mean, all the Barca girls got a great viewing of their good friends absolutely walking all over our fullbacks. And again, this is the issue with the Alex Greenwood test, is that Alex Greenwood is creating really, really good chances for us on that left side. But when you ask her to track back and you ask her to play the dirty work against fast, youthful La Masia products, you're gonna get caught out, and they're gonna find chances down on the lane, and that's how the Freya Godfrey goal happens. And I kind of thought that this would have been a missed opportunity after you won. Firstly, I was so gassed when you beat Chelsea because I thought, all right, we're gonna cruise past LCL. This is gonna be fine. But then I got really nervous and I had to go on a run because that's what I do when I get nervous. And I ran so fast when Bunny Khadija scores the settler, the winner. And I mean, Farrell Williams and Ellen White can say whatever they want about Bunny not being at going to stick or twist, but she just stuck it in the hearts of the Bromley fans and wins us another 3 points, another man of the match. You say she isn't going to win trophies. We are 9 points ahead of the pack right now, and I am very, very excited. It gives us a crazy good buffer. It means that games against you and games against Chelsea are ultimately null and void right now. And obviously we're going to try and win that. If we draw one of those games, that will be enough to hold a bigger buffer than that's a 2-game buffer. One draw or 2 draws is every draw is another game buffer, and that's the amazing part, is that we can set up shop, which is hard because we haven't been so miserly at the back, and now there are different avenues for teams to look at, especially if Sonia's going to beat us at the Etihad. It's going to be looking at that LCL performance and seeing how they can exploit our wide areas. But the reality is that, I mean, she's just doing the business week in, week out, and you've got to be able to stop Bunny in her stride. The subs, oh God, again, he doesn't like subs. I don't get it. I don't know why. We're 2-1 up. We had the game wrapped up after the goal, by the way. There wasn't a lot of chances for them post our goal. Bene looked lively, but it was only 6 minutes. But the first servings of Sam Coffey came out. What did you think of Sam Coffey in the WSL?
I was initially a little bit skeptical coming into this game, particularly. I thought you need a goal, and I would usually look at Sam Coffey as more of a settler, especially coming into a game. If you had started with Sam Coffey, then yes, she could have been a
I would have
creative
been
distributor.
crazy. I would have been so angry. Like, why change something that ain't broken? We were playing so well. We don't need her. But she did come on. I thought she did some really good things, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I agree. Those corners, particularly. I
Oh,
mean, obviously,
yeah.
you scored from the second phase of a corner, but I really liked the way that she took those corners, and I just like the way that she looked settled in. Like she
She was
didn't
going
look
for the
out of place.
Olympicos. She's been watching the
Yeah,
dub, clearly. But, oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God. It was no, they were really good set pieces. I like the way in which, like, it was her and Yui on the field. It was like all the manifestation, all the dreams that we all had. But what I liked is that it was exactly what I said, in the sense of that there's no nominal 6 and there's no nominal 8. And there were moments where Yui was pushed up into that further progressed position, and I want to see more of that. And I think Yui has, she doesn't have enough chances, but even when she gets her good chances, I feel like they're too far out, and I feel like she gets saved, and it makes her look like she's not this clinical player who can get the goals. But if Coffey's sitting behind, she can get into way more attacking positions, and vice versa. Because I think, I mean, if anyone's seen the best of Sam Coffey, I'm sure Portland fans could say that if you get Coffey on the edge of the box open to take a strike, she will bury those chances. And I think I want her to get points. I want her to contribute to this season and be a part of. I don't want her to like score the 4th goal in a 4-0. I think she has the capacity to cop a late winner against a top 3 side. She could do something in a Manchester derby. That's what I'm expecting from her.
I don't love the possibility of Arsenal being the reason that Chelsea win the league again by taking points off you. I don't love that. But I do, from this game, I understand and I agree with a lot of your sentiment in terms of not playing well and still getting the win. Because
Yeah.
I was watching the game and I was like, this is not a good City performance.
No.
But I think that these are the performances of champions. I think that I just think, to me, it's the fact that you are letting chances in too easily. And I mean, you're having 78, 79% of the possession in the first half. But to
Yeah, it
me,
was
the
crazy.
most that I remember is those 5 London City shots to your meager 10, right?
Yeah,
Like it's not,
they had way
yeah.
more. They looked way more dangerous going forward. The speed of their attack was good. I think we got very much of the ilk of the. I'm thinking of like the Geraldes model of trying to walk the ball in the net. I don't think that's necessary when you're 1-0 up. I don't think you need to walk the ball in the net every time. I think you need to force chances. You need to force corners. When you have players like Kanak and Bunny Shaw, I will say Jade Rose was
He had 15
spectacular.
corners.
Oh,
He had
15. Okay,
15.
but it just didn't feel like any of them were
Yeah.
beneficial. Like,
Yeah.
they weren't our high percent. Oh, well, like, I mean, Coffee took the 2-3 at the end, which were
Yeah.
decent. But I remember, actually, now that I remember, there were corners that turned into repeat corners, whereas the goal we got was a corner that phased out and then pulled back in.
There
So,
were also times where Yui was taking corners, and you have to tell me how good Yui's corners are, but to
average.
me, like, I mean, not beating your first man, and I know that, she's no worth in the box. She's not gonna, score a header anytime
Yeah,
soon. But to me, it's I think the inclusion of Sam Coffey as a set piece taker, like we have
100%.
McCabe, for example, it's just important.
I'm 100% agree. I think Yui is not. It shouldn't be our corner taker. I like when AG takes our corners. I
Yeah,
even
of course.
liked it when we had Uabi taking our corners at points. And I think they're the two. I mean, they're both left footers. And I think if we have a left footed corner, I think it's got to be AG. And if it's a right footed corner, then it's got to be Coffee, because you got to go for that Olympico. You got to crowd the keeper. I think we're trying. I think everyone's trying to adopt that Menso Arsenal model of crowding the keeper healthily. And I mean, we must be working on it, because it's goals we concede a lot from set pieces. So I hope we get better at that. But yeah, Jade Rose can hold her head up high in the defensive aspects with her recovery runs.
I
And
think if you're talking about defensive efforts, so I think I just have to quickly mention London Cities. I think you talked about the flanks and you talked about how well
yeah,
particularly Jana was playing. I mean, I don't
yeah,
think that Jana's had a particularly bad game for London City thus far, but
no,
I think from in my perspective, I think the centre backs for London City are some of the worst in the league, and that's including Liverpool's. So
yeah.
and Liverpool's have had a terrible track record with conceding goals, particularly from centre back mistakes. But I don't love this inclusion of Lani. I just think she looks particularly out of place. Sangari also looks out of place, but more so they're both making mistakes that are
Yeah.
leading to goals, and they look really just flimsy and very uncoordinated in the box when you're just like kick it out or just clear it. They're falling over.
I
They're
mean, yeah,
yeah.
it was an interesting partnership. It's been a quite an interesting ride for LCL in the last 4 match days of the WSL. They're winless in the WSL since November, since they
Yeah.
beat Villa, which is crazy because I know that's why Prashaw got sacked. But right now, Linari can't really play every game in a row. I don't think Sangare is the answer, but Sangare also is young. I don't want to put too much on her because the reality is that she is under the age of 20. She's got a lot on her shoulders playing week in, week out. But I mean, no Saki this week. I don't think Rhoda's the answer in the midfield holding it up. So maybe they were missing Saki to be able to give that extra defensive cover. But they had interesting firepower off the bench, to say the least. I mean, the game kind of walked into our hands when the subs came on, and those subs are worth a lot of money, if you ask me, between Gioro, Van de Donk with her first appearance. No wonder Ellie was there, to be
oh my
honest.
God. I was surprised. My dad was sleeping. I had to wake him up. I was like, guess what? Like the
Guess what?
spirit of Vanderdonk.
We've shocked her. The defibrillator works. She can play football, but not particularly well. She wasn't great, to be
It
honest.
wasn't good, no.
I think it'll be interesting this week when they go up against a not top three side. I think that's probably the idea, is that when they're coming up against Brighton at home, it's a bit of a test. Hopefully she gets a bit more minutes than 20, and it's not against a back half chasing City who are chasing 3 points. But I mean, that's all I really have to say. I mean, Viv, yeah, great performance, completely forgot. But yeah, we've got Viv and Mariona there chilling as we move to our rivals went to town at Villa. Jesus Christ. I mean, I think Mark Skinner would be happy. This is a performance that was needed by Manchester United and opens up a lot of questions about their front line. We can still keep asking these questions. Who is the best striker out of the 1,800 that they have? But, I mean, there's a lot going on in this game, specifically about the way in which United are able to control their barrage of chances. The way they broke the deadlock was quite interesting. And then getting Jess Park, I would argue, one of their most important players back into form.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting game for United, but more so for Villa. I think I was very conscientious of the fact that Roebuck has now started 2 games, and I thought that this would be kind of a good move. I mean, I thought that she'd get into form. Conceding 4 goals is not the best way to get into form after conceding, obviously, against Arsenal. But I don't think that she was the problem. I also don't think necessarily Villa were the problem. I just think that United were better on the day. I just think that their forward press, and I think that the way that they controlled the tempo of the game was very good, and why they're in a top 3, top 2 battle. And I think players that came on, and I'm particularly looking at Turland, to me, were game changers, but obviously Lundqvist as well.
Yeah, Blomqvist is. I think Blomqvist has got to she's got to start. I'm thinking she's arguably. I don't know if she's better than Riviere. I don't.
I was going to say
I
that'll
don't.
be difficult
I don't
for
think it's. I don't. I
yeah.
do think Riviere has dropped off from her initial purple patch form of
Spark
the
of
start of
form,
the
yeah.
season, but Lundqvist provides an outlet on that right side that I don't think Riviere can, because Riviere's game comes from playing deeper and then being aggressive up the line and whipping the ball early, whereas Lundqvist is just arrives late, has the ability to create chances that are comparable to Riviere, but it is a bit of a different outlet, and I think Riviere does have the experience, which is
I
fair.
I just think that in terms of both sides, I'd be looking at using a far more attacking player on the right hand side rather than the left, because Maya Letitia will cover that side if there's a long ball over the top that Riviere or Lundqvist won't be able to come back to, versus someone like Sandberg, who they are kind of using more as that attacking output, and then having Janssen. And I know Janssen has actually been in quite good form, but in terms of 1v1, I don't trust her. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking at if you could exploit that right hand side, that's where I would be going, and that's where I'd put Lundqvist. But at the same time, it's like that's kind of like Arsenal putting in Holmberg, just because she's an attacking outlet doesn't mean, because I think Jade Riviere and Foxy have a very similar profile, that defensive output from both those players, I think it's just undeniable and irreplaceable right now.
Yeah, and I mean their midfield played very well. I think Zigiotti is still one of their best players. Miyazawa holding very well. But it is that front three. It was an interesting choice from Skinner playing Vangerheim, Schuler, and Mallard. I would argue 3 central players, one handling the width a lot better than the other. I don't think Vangerheim can sit,
I think she's
sit
a
on the
central
wide.
striker.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit insane to shoehorn her in there.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because then when Lizzie T comes on, I think she handles the center of the park better. I still think Leah Schuler is better, but again, playing her into form is going to be an exercise in patience for Mark Skinner. Definitely. She hasn't been playing week in, week out. It's going to be tough. But, I mean, Hansen still scored. They did get that I mean, what became a consolation, but it was an equalizer at the time. Hansen, who just absolutely do not give her the space because she will find the answer. She completely wrong-footed both Letitia and Tullis Joyce. It was actually such a well taken goal. I think it will just go under the radar as the one goal that doesn't really matter. But obviously Jess Park, the real deal, in the middle, doing the business, making me feel crap every time I watch her with that much space.
And you see that Grace Clinton's on the bench for your
yeah. I mean, it's okay. Game's a game. I mean, she's cover, but I mean, Jess Park is much less than cover, and we all knew that she was going to be less than cover. Yeah. But I think I don't know if there's much to say in the sense of that they are sitting 1 point behind you. I don't know what the motive is. I don't know what the plan is, especially while they're still in UCL.
Yeah.
They're going to go for it. They'll definitely go for it against Atletico, who are struggling. So I do see them getting through, but then 2 legs against Bayern while trying to handle Arsenal and Chelsea. There's a lot to handle. I mean, this was what I believe is not nowhere near United's full-strength squad without Fridolina Rolfo, who I don't know when she's back. I don't know what the plan is.
It might have been a Swedish-Norwegian curse this week of players who were like good for the previous week, just out and ill for the next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe Lundqvist embodies the right side of Rolfo instead of the left side of Rolfo, the right brain. But ultimately, I mean, it's so interesting because 1 point behind. I don't know what the goals are. I think the goals are back-to-back UWCL campaigns. I think the goals are to push as hard as they can through the UWCL and see if they can break the Bayern run that they're on right now. But it is a lot of questions to be answered relatively soon. And just sitting behind them, again, if we're gonna talk about numbers, we have 2 points behind them. We have a team that dropped points to Liverpool. Liverpool getting their first win of the season. Gazball beating Martin Hobel in a 2-0 win. St. Helens looking like an NFL pitch with all the lines on the field. But Bergstrom, O'Sullivan, Holland, Woodham, Enderby. I mean, it's weird because you say that at the start of the season, you're just like, oh, well, they're screwed. But now you say it and you're just like, wow, these guys are fun to watch. The lack of possession doesn't matter because the Gazball chance creation, I mean, Gazball from the skies. Remember, used to be 45 minutes of crap at the start, and then the second half they do it, and they had chance after chance. They should have been 4-0 up in this game. They were ripping them apart, and I'm glad they got the winner. And then, I mean, Slippy G impression from Sumanan, Jesus Christ, for the second goal. Yeah. But actually, I don't know if it goes down as Enderby's goal, the first strike, because I think it went down as an own goal for Koga. I think Koga actually taps it in, and they think it's going off target.
No, they gave it. They gave it to Enderby. I know that they gave it. Yeah, they did give it to her. Okay. I think this game was the best of Gazball. I think you can probably attest to this, using the flanks, then crossing in central, having very high midfielders, but also midfielders that can drop back and help defensively. This wasn't an abominable game by Tottenham for any standard. I just think that they were wasteful. I think that it will take a while for the new signings to kind of fit into the WSL, no matter who they're playing.
It's a gobset. Oh my God, the one-on-one chance. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Stink Pink mug upset right there. That was that chance. You've got to score that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If she's in a Norway jersey, that's in. That's a goal right
I agree.
there.
I do agree.
Or
Yeah.
she skips around the goalie and finishes it. But the fact that she missed that is a chance gone begging. And you know what? I could have seen them if they scored that. They could have locked up the game, easily pulled out a 1-0. They'd be sitting ahead of you right now. It would be insanity. The table would look crazy if they would have won this game. But I mean, this is the question, right? Can Liverpool make it out? I'm going to say yes. I think if they keep playing like this, they are much better than West Ham. I think even with the Guarino, the changeover, I think they are levels above. Even though West Ham also got a win, I mean, Everton have got to be looking out. Leicester, I think that's the main relegation battle between the four of them. I would love Leicester to drop just so our prediction is right. I would love also if they finish 12th on 12 points, and we said that's how many players they'd have by the end of the season. But there is a lot to question out of that bottom four.
I think that this just proves how important a strong start is, incredibly important in the WSL, particularly just because you bank up points like LCL did, like they banked up 16 points and are playing not particularly fantastic football. I think that's why you need to be able to hold consistency and hold a run of form. And yes, Liverpool are going to be hopefully playing much better football, especially with the introduction of new players, but is the fact that they dropped so many points and had just such egregious mistakes that led to those dropping points. Like, is that going to be a kind of, I don't know, is that going to be the reason that they go down? Because, you know, those early, like, dumb mistakes that we would see in the WSL2 made in the WSL1 means that they're just not of the quality for a whole season run.
Well, I just think hindsight's 20/20 on this, because when you're looking at you're looking at the run now, it's a game between 9th and 12th.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Liverpool have 7 points. They also have 5 in their last 3. They unbeaten in 3 games. They're much more miserly at the back. This is the Liverpool that's going to get out of the rut and going to get more points, going to test the waters against the bottom of the pack, and I'd say even into the middle of the pack. I would say if Liverpool are playing Brighton at St Helens Stadium, I wouldn't expect it to be easy. The same way I wouldn't expect it to be easy for them to go up against Leicester at home and do the business there. But I mean, there is a difference when West Ham goes up to Leicester at home and shows them the levels. And I mean, it's a question where Guarino's introduction is going to change the way in which they play and make them a different force. The same way that the new signings, especially O'Sullivan, has completely changed the midfield and the way in which they play. But Enderby's chance taken was fantastic. Bergstrom was copying Izzy Goodwin in her woodwork challenge. I think it was 2 versus 3, which is quite impressive. But again, we're going to move straight into Leicester v West Ham. The free kick from Hanshaw was amazing. Yeah. Shakira's goal was so Shakira Martinez. I don't know if there's another way to describe it, but this is what she can do. This is like the Arsenal thing again. It's like you said it very clearly that isn't the best game Arsenal's ever played. It just is the level that she is, and that goal from Shakira Martinez is what I expect from her, to be able to get the separation, get the space, take the strike from 15 to 17 yards out, and absolutely put the goalie in a spliff. It was so easy. I mean, Janina Leitzig not in goal. I don't know why. I don't know if she's injured. I didn't see anything, but I mean, Leitzig has been one of the best goalies in the league so far. Yeah. But all eyes were on the first WSL minutes for Alicia Lehmann, who didn't really contribute in any way fit. It was 2-0 when she came on. It was 2-0 when she came off, and it was a deserved loss with not a lot of chances. I thought O'Brien would have her mitts all over this game, but Guarino's team holding a clean sheet for the first time in a while, to be honest. Oh no! They did cop the own goal. I apologize.
Yeah.
That was it wasn't actually quite. It's a quite impressive strike to get the own goal, to be honest, because the ball across the box had no right to be touched. Like, it could have been left alone, and I don't think anyone was getting their mitts on it, and she just puts it in near post. The goalie was nowhere near it to be seen.
Am I right that it could have been Lehmann to have touched the ball? Like, she could have touched it in for a goal? I believe I'm right.
Like I think she was behind the defender, but I thought she'd overrun it, and then Nystrom pops it into her own goal.
Yes,
I
yes,
think
it was an own goal, but it was the pressure from Lehman. And look, I am the biggest Lehman defender out there. Okay,
Yeah.
she's not.
I don't think there's many layman attackers. I don't.
No, no, no.
like.
I think that remember the cyclical round of hatred comes. It just comes and
Oh
goes. So
yeah,
like,
that's fair.
you
Yeah,
start
I
from
get that.
loving a player to then like seeing that they're not very good. Me personally, I'm just a big fan.
Well, you're just explaining it in layman's terms. Am I
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. No, but I again, she didn't do much, but I mean, she
Yeah.
pressured the goal. I don't
Yeah.
think she will do much. I just don't think that she's a player that comes in and saves Leicester's season.
No.
But I do think that out of this game, what I saw most improved was West Ham. I just think that they potentially could get on a run of form similar to Liverpool, but I actually think it's more in a way that I have seen glimpses from this West Ham team. They have not been good under Skinner, but I think that there are the players there, as we saw at the end of last season, that can do it, that can get them over the line, and obviously Shakira is one of them.
Yeah, 100%. And with West Ham going up against an out of form Tottenham, Leicester, who aren't playing this week, postponed. Your game with them is postponed,
Yeah,
which is
'cause of the
very
Champions
lucky.
Cup,
Yeah,
yeah.
very lucky for them, because I think that this would be the worst time to come up against you, and then in a week's time coming up against United, a tough round bout of fixtures for them to be able to hold their spot ahead of the relegation pack. The last game we had was actually the first game of this week, in Everton and Brighton. Kankovic's goal being enough to get them over the line away from home. I mean, this was all about Ndosia. As we said last week, they were missing her, they needed her, and she's back with another man of the match performance. I think she nearly screwed up that chance where Payne had the open net, but it was a great recovery. I think she made 6 saves, clean sheet. Usually when a team wins 1-0, you always put the eyes on the goalkeeper and say that it's their job to hold out the game, ultimately, if you're not going to create many chances forward. I know Haley had a big chance on that left channel, just had Everton's goalie coming out to receive it. But ultimately, a 1-0 win is a big win for Brighton that keeps them way ahead of relegation in that pack. And I mean, they did start well. They're holding their form. I mean, also, rest in peace to Vidosic's father as well. I mean, a very important figure in Australian football as well as the WSL. And I'm glad they gave their commemorations to him before the match, and a worthy performance from Brighton in spirit of Vidosic. And I think that's that never say die. It doesn't matter how many goals you put in. The chance creation is very Dario, but the family is controlling the game and making sure that they can dictate tempo, and they did that really, really well. But that's all we have for England. As we move into Spain, we can talk very quickly about the Liga F, because, I mean, there was only one game we can focus on, which is the Sociedad game, and Imade-less Sociedad, as Imade has finally landed in Germany. But it wasn't Ezagere, but their 3-0 win in the league actually puts them 1 point behind Real Madrid, which is crazy, by the way. 17 games played. They're on 38 points, which is just one of the dream seasons for them. I wonder how many of their youngster Spanish matadors will get poached at the end of this season, or even now, while we still have half a week left of the transfer sagas that are coming. But we have to talk about the Super Copa final, because Barca and Real Madrid didn't play each other in the Liga F or other teams. They played against each other in a cup final, which ended in ways that we could only expect a Classico to be. This is 22 wins out of 23. This is a monster side, and they've done it again with chance creation. I don't know if there was much until what I thought was actually quite an anticlimactic opener, but Vicky Lopez, I mean, I don't know what it is about her in finals, but I think she's becoming the big game player that I want her to be. I don't need her to play week in, week out, be the best player every week. I just want her to be the best in the biggest moments. And I think that's what she is, genuinely. I think she's a genuine terror. And has the factors of being able to shoot from that distance with that much power, scare the defenders. I mean, Misa, very good to tap away, very good all game, to be honest.
I was going to say, I think Misa was their best player, in my
Wow,
opinion.
crazy. And I mean, I'm not surprised the amount of shots they had, but there's nothing she could have done to stop. Esme Brutes headering home the opener. I just don't I'm just sick of the narratives against Esme at this point. She just is the best left back. It's insane.
You were also perpetuating some of those narratives.
No. I understand that she can't defend, but it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. I don't care that she can't defend. She's so good forward of the ball. Honestly, if she played left wing for any other team, she would terrorize the fullbacks that she plays against. But again, having the luxury to break into her position and overload is part of her brilliance. But I just didn't see Real Madrid getting back into this game. I thought Ona was unbelievable locking up Caicedo. I don't think Caicedo had a real sniff at goal, and Ono was making sure of that, no question about it. That's that lockdown defense that Esme doesn't have to the same level, but ultimately it was Alexia. It was Lorena at the end of it. The penalty she's still taking penalties. No one's taking them off her. No, there must be a reason for that, but she's still scoring 2 out of 3, but that was one of the 2, and it goes in a 2-0 victory. I think this is just again, it felt like a league performance, to be honest. It was pretty routine for them. I think it's good to see their strongest 11 kind of out. I mean, I know Aitana not there, but ultimately that's the strongest 11 they can really put out, and I think that is an exciting thing when we've been watching a lot of their youngsters. And I mean, a lot of you saw that we were talking about their youngsters. We went ridiculously viral when talking about the La Masia soil being so fertile, but I mean, this is a big win from the usual suspects, that is Barca.
If I just quickly talk about Madrid, I think that a lot will be said about just how inefficient they are in front of goal, particularly against Barcelona. And we know teams can score against Barcelona, and we also know teams can win against Barcelona. So this is not an impossible hurdle to jump. I just think that there is some sort of barrier between scoring goals to the amount that they need to actually compete against a Barcelona team that do score goals and are very efficient. And then when they get into those chances, how are they then A, utilizing them, but B, when they do not utilize them, how do they then defend and then actually don't concede? Because the goals that happened in these games came after waves of attack by Real Madrid. And I'm thinking specifically of the Alexia goal. That penalty came after 2 near chances that could have easily been goals that I've seen Caicedo, I've seen Atenea, I've seen others slot in easily. So to me, it's more about how are Real Madrid moving forward, how are they going to be more efficient? And then when they're not getting those chances, how are they going to make up for it in the defense?
I don't disagree. And if they beat Paris FC, they're going to have another 2 chances at this Classico in the UWCL, which is arguably more important than this game. Sadly, I think at this moment in time, while the APA era still runs, I think there is just going to be a level of mental dominance over them. And I think this is that era of Barcelona that will be lauded. I mean, like, Putellas has more goals in El Clasico than Real Madrid does in El Clasico history. The whole team, the whole institution has less goals than Putellas, right? It's hard to be in that position to think, okay, this is who I'm coming up against. But you're not wrong in the sense of that the games that they won, there's no reason why they can't think that they're not going to do it, because they have done it before. And when you're Caroline Weir, you're Atenea, Linda Caicedo, Sara de Brits, these are the players that your youngsters look to and say, well, we've done it before, we should be able to do it again. And I think there was just a level of confidence in and arrogance just going through the center of the park, being able to break through. I don't even think Caro got too wide. I don't even think Vicky got too wide. They just overloaded the center of the park, trusted the speed of their pass and their connections through the center. It's hard to break down. And yes, on other days, the openings come through. And I mean, again, you sometimes you expect a muppy mistake or an Irina mistake. I really thought in live when the game was happening, I thought that Irina Paredes block was a handball, but obviously on replay it's not. It's just the way she fell to the ground. I was like, okay, she's given away a penalty there. You don't fall to the ground like that, but she just got one to the breadbasket, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. But they just were faultless. Their defensive work was faultless. They made sure that every chance they had to work for it. I know Caicedo probably had that better chance later on, but I just don't think it was just an impenetrable performance. And I think that's all I can really say about another trophy in the cabinet for Romeo. What this season will mean to them, what the season is coming for them. I mean, they are definitely got all eyes on Oslo, and I think that they will push forward in the league as they have been and try and run out 3 or 4 trophies this year. No. Dare I say the Q word? I won't, but I am scared that this is the Romeo era, and we have to start respecting that. But we will move back to the reintroduction of the Bunds. Half the Bunds that we talk about, because Frankfurt and Hoffenheim was postponed. I believe, was it weather? Because
I'm going to say
it must have been.
I was going to say the Wolfsburg game as well. I'm just going to say, based on what we saw from the Bayern game, which was just
holy crap! It was just, white on white derby. It was Bundesliga white night. Jesus Christ! But Bayern v Leipzig, I couldn't see much. But what I saw is that they're back, and they're back like they never left. 16 in a row. It is crazy work. They looked really good. Stanway, I mean, I know she's leaving at the end of the year, but she wants to leave with a legacy. She's not mentally checked out by any means. Don't know why she didn't take the penalty, by the way. I found it surprising that Tanikawa took that.
Yeah, I was surprised as well, but I also think that Tanikawa has been taking more of an initiative on set pieces as well. I think she also
Are they practicing? They're practicing for when Stanway can't stat pad in the Bunds. They're like, you know what? We want a player that ends up with more goals at the end of the season. And you know what? I can't say it wasn't a bad penalty. It was a very good penalty. Clara MF Bull, I mean, the GOAT, honestly, she's still doing it, running that left side. If Tanikawa and Harder could finish their dinner, maybe Clara would have another extra 2-3 assists on what is already a stellar season. I mean, I know it's January, but like I'm so excited to see where Clara Bull ends up, like numbers wise at the end of the season. I think it's so interesting. Clara Bull for the Woso Bayern, and then Olise for the Menso Bayern are just assist merchants to the death. I think they're afraid to score goals. Like, I think they forget that they can score. And
I think one of them's, and this is going to be a bit of a hot take, I think one of them's a luxury player, and the other one is a player that I could see
Clara Bull.
Yeah, basically.
One is Clara Bull.
I just think Clara Bull can do it anyway. And she can literally do it in the snow and do it probably.
A rainy day in Stoke. Or a snowy day in Munich. I mean, there is no question about that. But the own goal was quite harsh. I mean, Ket's strike was good, but it does divert. And then I believe the third goal was Damjanovic off the Gilles header, putting it back in the net. Damjanovic coming off the bench, doing what she can. I think she just is that level. I think 12 assists for Bull, just doing the business week in, week out. Never a wavering moment when watching Clara Bull on the left side. Anyone who wants to watch just the finest, the purest of wingers, it is all there for you to watch. And I mean, the only other games I really want to talk about in the Bunds are Larissa Mulhouse doing the business for Werder Bremen, sadly in a draw versus Nuremberg, but was by far running the show. She got fouled 8 times, by the way. I would love to see like an Instagram story of just getting her just getting chopped up. Her legs would have been ruined, but she created the most chances, won the most duels, helped set up the goal. Didn't get the assist, but did hold up play for it. Had 6 shots, so probably should have scored, but not their day. And then Fudalla and Kogel running the show for Leverkusen, beating Berlin in Berlin's home ground. I mean, the Kogel off the bench for the winner, but Fudala's free kick. There were a few free kicks this week, by the way, that were just, I mean, it wasn't just corner glitches from the side. There were some genuine stunners, whether it be Fudala or Hanshaw. But the postponed game sadly taking away a little bit of our chat for what would be a really exciting precedent with the Bunds back. I really want to see that top 2, top 3 battle manifest and see how that operates in the realms of Europe next season. But we are going to jump straight into the Feminil, where I think we had one of the games of the year. By the way, this is up there. I know it's not 5-5 with.
We said this last week, didn't we? About
the 5-5 with Sociedad was. But I said the 5-5 with Sociedad was more like the Tillies versus Zambia shambles, whereas this game was. Absolutely. Some of the goals that they were scoring, it wasn't like goalie shambles. This was like halfway line goals, bicycle kicks. I mean, holy crap. There were some fantastic finishes. And obviously I'm talking about Como hosting Inter Milan and in form Inter Milan, who have kept their win streak a 5th consecutive win and only not that far behind Roma just yet. It's an interesting race still. I don't think it's done and dusted just yet. Sure. But if they're going to do it, I don't see how Tessavola doesn't end up with the player of the season. But my God, what did you think of the start to this game?
I was really surprised just how quick this game kind of went. I was expecting, in your typical City R style, for the both teams to ease into the games. And I mean, yes, took 42 minutes for the first goal to go in, but I genuinely thought that there were chances galore, particularly in the first 40 minutes. So I was surprised. I was not necessarily, I mean, I didn't necessarily think this would be the game of the round because I don't look to Como to being this like team that can even match up to the levels of Inter, particularly in the last like 5 or 6 weeks. I think Inter have been fantastic, but I was very surprised, and I thought, I mean, as a neutral, this was a fantastic game. And then after halftime, it just became even better. Yeah,
it was chaos. I mean, we have to say that the ultimately, like, Inter could have thrown this game away, and the excitement to go forward, to keep going, pack that midfield tight, and keep overloading, and trust the press, force them central, and then be able to break through, and then that's how Valert sets up the equalizer. I mean, the wonder goal from Kramzar from Como. I don't know how the absolute cojones to be able to take that shot on is wild. That was such a crazy strike. But then, I mean, I think Inter subs did the job. They were fantastic. I'm so pilled under Buhaiga, by the way. The Maltese assassin. This girl can, I mean, she had a hat trick right at the end of last year. But every time she plays, she just is good. And I think she needs to play. She is Buhaiga baddie. Like, it is Cardi B. Cardi Buhaiga. But, I mean, she's a little bit onco, a little bit chaos, a little bit Stina. I love it. She's got match-winning capabilities. I like her. She got the goal. It was so funny. She like took the touch and then tried to take another touch, and then the ball was in the net. I don't think it was a strike on goal, and then celebrated with her teammate and knocks her teammate over. So that just proves how unco the moment all was. And then the goal at the end. Oh my God. Polly, 94th minute. Not Policina, Alyssa Polly, who scores 8. I don't know if it's an overhead kick. I don't know if it's a scissor bicycle. I don't know what's happening, but it's a great strike. It's a great goal. The time to do it. Inter being just never say die at this point, but holding on to second. And I mean, no amount of Chid's chance creation is going to save Como at this point. And it's sad that she didn't end up with an assist for the work she was doing in the middle. But
I really do think this was a game of the midfield. I just think that Inter's midfield was far more experienced. I think that they just knew what to do when they were in momentum, when they needed to defend. I just think that the work of McGill particularly, I think she goes underrated a lot of the time.
She's back. She was in and out of the squad. She was a bit injured at the end of last season, but now she's back. And, I mean, you can tell they're just squeezing out the last bits of McGill, and she is just one of those footballers who, when she's in her stride, hard to stop, hard to take the ball off her. She sets up good chances. She has good connections with
And it was only a half.
Tessa.
And it was only a half. And from that half, I got that midfield was secure. I didn't think that, for example, they needed to just squeeze in players quickly because there were gaps or they needed to fill holes into that midfield. It was rotation. It was good rotation, and it obviously also meant that the way that they could get to goal was different and interesting each time.
Yeah, and Inter even kept their form into the cup as well. As we said, they beat Ternana last week in the first leg. They beat them double, so 4-0 this week. And as I said, Buhega with a first half brace starting. And it doesn't matter who's playing. They played their second squad. They're still playing that packed midfield, that 3-5-2, one a bit deeper. They're doing the job, and they're keeping the system so that everyone learns that three at the back football really, really well. And I think look, Inter definitely going to make a run for the Champions League this year. I think I can see them as a UWCL side next year, which will give them a little bit more luxury in the transfer market to be able to sign in some centre halves to make sure they don't cop the same goals they copped earlier in the season. I think they were very easy to break through that three at the back, but now they're looking a little bit more miserly. But even then, still cop 2 goals, 2 from deep, 2 goals that they probably shouldn't be copying. So there is a lot to learn, but I think there's a lot to invest, and it's not like they don't have the money to do so. It's just being able to access that by coming top 2 and then being in the Champions League instead of the Europa Cup.
Well, as their opposition are kind of leaking players out of their squad, they're retaining a lot of players. And I think one of the best examples of that is someone like, for example, Roma, who just keep their best players. And I think it's a testament to them that they've kept Giuliano for so long, because I think Giuliano is the best Roma player that's ever been for the women's side. I mean,
she does it week in, week out.
Exactly.
This week was nothing. One week is not like the other. This week is like every week. It's Groundhog Day, watching 1-0 wins by Roma. Probably should have been more than one. I don't know if they had excessively great chances, but
incredible.
Their shot creations are from deep, and Giuliano is just one of the players you want on the edge of the box taking those strikes, right?
Yeah, I mean, Roma had something like 23 shots on target. So this is a team that had 23 shots.
Oh, I was like, if they had 23 shots on target, I would have been like, and they only won 1-0. I was like 23 shots, so that makes more sense. But yes,
they had 23 shots, 6 on target, and it's funny to me because the standout, other than Giuliano's goal, was actually in the second half. Genoa had this like absolute like schmozzle of a clearance. Like Roma's keeper went for the ball, dropped the ball, kind of everyone stood still. The Genoa player picked up the ball and missed an open goal. I was like, this is all very Serie A.
Oh, this is Bar. This is Bar. Oh my God, no! But even they should have had a goal. By the way, that equaliser,
that was
the opening
hilarious.
goal. How is that? I'm sorry. That is corrupt. That is Serie A Calciopoli Part 2. This is number 1 bullshit. This was so a goal. There was no foul. The girl, what was her name? Bar, right? It is Bar. I'm not crazy, right?
No.
Alexa Bar, Colombian, hit the woodwork as well, but later on in the game. But Bar, do the bar exam, become a lawyer, and then destroy the Calciopoli cheese, because that was not a foul. I didn't see anything that was worthy of a whistle on the ref. It just seemed like you scored, foul. That's what it felt like. It was insane. And I don't know if you saw De La Fuente, the Genoa manager.
Yeah, he went on the pitch. He was
absolutely crucifying the referee, rightfully so, by the way. And it's just a sad day at the office for Bar. It's a sad day at office for Genoa. It's all very sad. And I think it's just a shame, because they deserved more from this game. And I mean, the Baldy moment, I don't know what was going on. I think if Roma make the UWCL next year again and they win the league, they need to replace her, because she copped a myriad of goals in the UWCL, and they will invest if they win, and I hope they get in it. Look, I'd be looking at one of the Villa goalies. I'd be looking at anyone who's got a second keeper. I'd be looking at someone
like Leipzig. I'd be looking at someone like Leipzig, honestly.
I think Leipzig's going to go back to Germany. That's the thing. I think she's going to be looking higher than Roma, sadly. And even I mean, the reality is that a player like D'Angelo, who should be getting minutes on minutes, right? This is the perfect. If I was Roma, I'd be looking at D'Angelo right now and say, you want to play 90s every week? Yeah. Come over. You'll have a great time. You'll win a league, which would be amazing. But again, they must have the trust in Baldy, and I think she does have moments, but she is mistake prone, and it might capitalize later on. It already capitalized in the Champions League, but hopefully they hold on to the league for Giuliano's sake, who's by far the standout player of the league so far. I think even when we're going to start looking at team of the seasons across the ponds, it's going to be hard to look past Giuliano as an option, especially if we do a draft and we start going 1-to-1. I think one of us will end up with Giuliano in the middle. But we're going to look at Juventus. Are you pointing at you?
Yeah, I'm pointing at me.
I'm
Giuliano pilled.
You are Giuliano pilled. Yeah, I'll end up with Tessa Valla and Stina and Romay Lukta up front. So all three, you can't handle the difference. But Juve versus Parma, back to winning ways. Juve in third place. I mean, they are tied on 18, but the goal difference is clear. I mean, this was exactly what you said last week. Yeah. You said we needed more Bonasea. We needed her earlier. Yep. They started her, and it took 10 minutes? Not 13 even. Minutes. Yeah, there you go. And she was on the score sheet. Too easy for her. I think if they're going to get anywhere near the top, which it looks very unlikely now with Inter cruising away, but it's going to be mounting for trophies with their experience, and it's players like Girelli getting assists, which was very, very, very nice and alongside Bonasea finishing off games as well.
That header from Bonasea, though, is so funny because it's a header from a player who I know just doesn't score many headers, but scores the types of headers that you were like, how did she do that? I mean, I'm thinking of the goal against England in the Euros. I'm thinking of this one as well. She kind of just lobs it over the keeper. It's so funny.
Like the neck muscle power, because she's not really jumping. She's just like lunging at it. It's like a woodpecker header. I really like that. But I mean, I also want to shout out Parma, Di Stefano. That I don't know what it was, right? That no-look free kick kind of vibe. It felt like her head was facing the wrong way. I don't know if she was in a YouTube video, a YouTube shorts or something, but I genuinely thought that was nearly like the best free kick I've ever seen. Like, it was so nice. The goalie had no chance. It just happened to hit the frame of the goal, which was a shame. But it was nearly perfection. And then, I mean, it's kind of sad, right, when Godo scores a free kick and it bounces before the goalie and still goes in, and then your Di Stefano, you said, I hit a way better free kick than that and it still doesn't go in, which is just depression. But Juve just too good, really. All over the park. Parma a bit struggling a bit, but I mean, that's the reality of this league at the moment. I mean, Parma are only 1 point ahead of the drop. Tonana and Genoa both on 7, Parma on 8, but Parma also having the worst form cycle other than Genoa. It's very, very close, but Parma have Roma next week, Genoa have AC. There is a big possibility that Parma end up very, very close to the drop.
I think that this game just goes to show that you can just take, and Juve did this, just take shots. In the Serie A, we've talked about it before. I mean, it's the league of long shots. It's the league of
it's the league of long shots because you can't get into the 5-yard box. Like, you have to take long shots because they crowd the box with their 3 at the backs and their tight, packed in midfields. But, I mean, Juve, you have it at the bottom, right? Juve, the only team to have collected at least 20 points in their first 11 games of the season in each of the last 9 editions of the Serie A. I mean, this is what they do. This is what they have done. They're a controlling force. They're a mainstay. They're a staple of Italy. They beat Napoli in the cup as well. There was 2-1 in the first leg, 2-1 in the second leg, but this time it was the bench doing the business. This was a Benchwarmers, a Woso podcast performance with Girelli off the bench scoring, Lindsay Thomas off the bench scoring, and Bakari off the bench with a brace setting up both of those goals, which is pretty impressive as we move to Vive la France, the Coup de France round of 16. 2 smashings for the 2 Titans of France. Where are we going to start? We're going to start with Lyon or PSG?
We'll start with PSG mostly because this game, if you watch this game, either highlights or live, was the worst stream. We were up in the air with a bad stream. It was glitchy at times. I was just there like, I just want to see some PSG ball against like some rogue team.
Looked ball. You saw looked ball though.
I saw looked ball, and to be honest, this is the best of PSG. But again, what are we getting? The best of PSG against teams like Montpellier? Like, you know, like this is a team that is full of ballers, full of a lot of potential, but also full of players that have been invested in. And yes, I love to see 5-0s, sure. But are they going to do this against the Paris FCs in the
No,
Liga themselves?
and
No.
they're not going to do it against Lyon next week when they
No.
have them in the league and ultimately effectively end the league, Lyon, and do that as they do nearly week in, week out. But I just find it very uninspiring when they can't do it in Europe. That's the part, is that
Yeah,
we're just
sure.
going to be, every time they win 5-0 and they look in control and they're playing in their element, all I think of is, where was this 6 weeks ago? Where was this 7, 8 weeks ago? You're on this run of form now. Of course, but it means you're not built for Europe. It means if this is your level and you can't hold this level while you're playing in Europe, then ultimately you know what you're not ready for, or you need to invest across the squad, not put money into singular players. There were some great goals. I think Grunen's goal from distance, similar to the goal in the Como game. Kanjinga did her job, and then look, that free kick.
That free kick was
that.
great.
I think that's probably the best free kick. I mean, other than the Di Stefano one that didn't go in, the Barren in. I do like a Barren in. You have to
The
understand.
goalkeeper was so out. I feel like I looked at the goal, I was like, where is the
Well,
goalkeeper?
she had a
Like,
wall. She had the wall ahead. I thought, looked to hit it way over the bar, and it does dip down, and it does go barring in. So you can't
is
really.
it just because of the angle that we're at about 1,000
Yeah, we are.
kilometers above
We are.
the-
It was POV Gareth Taylor in
It's like the
in the
VO.
Etihad.
It's like the VO that you get in some
Oh, yeah.
leagues. That was
A VO, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a VO. It just panned left, panned right, telly broadcast beauty. But I mean, we had a 5-0 for PSG, but we also had a 5-1 for Lyon at Marseille. Endler injured again. Injured
Yeah.
again, came on. Who comes on? Tilly Goat, Tegan Micah, who also made a really, really good save really early on to
is this the Marseille shot from
yeah,
long
the
distance?
distance
Yeah.
from long distance.
Yeah.
She saves it, gets her tiny finger on it, hits the crossbar, does her job, and then that player actually ends up scoring, getting the consolation for Marseille with a long distance strike. So it's not like she was hard done by. It was a good strike, but this game I have to dub the return of the Mac. Mac being Marie Antoinette Katoto. Oh my days. This is the Katoto I thought Lyon was promised. That first goal is everything about Katoto that I know. That, like, the fact that she didn't preemptively she's so unco that she didn't even celebrate the first goal. That's how good the strike was. The left foot near post, perfect. That's what I expect Katoto to do week in, week out.
It was raining. The ball got, I mean, there was no need for long balls that were on the ground because they'd just get hung up in the mud pit or like swamp that was
The
Marseille's pitch.
Marseille's pitch, yeah.
Yeah, but I think what I saw most of, particularly from Katoto, but also just from Lyon, is that ruthlessness that we've talked about all season. They don't let down. They can play Marseille, they can play the best in Europe, and they play the same. And so the philosophy is obviously the one that will get them over the line most of the time. But I also think, as you mentioned, players just are clicking into form, and especially now coming back off of quite a long break, this is what you need for the second half of the season.
100%. And I think they've kind of delineated their league players from their Champions League players. So
Yeah, I agree.
players like Renard come off, players like Julebrand and Besho are league performers. And Julebrand getting fouled for the penalty that Renard scored. Vicky Besho was fantastic. Again, still bullish on her. She sets up Katoto's second goal, and then De Mornay's whip to Katoto for the hat-trick. I mean, it was comfortable. It was easy. It'll be an exciting game against PSG at the Parc des Princes. I'm thinking this could be 35,000 people.
We say
in
that
the
every
stadium.
time, though. I don't know.
What was it? Last game was 28,000. So we're not far off.
I just think that they should be expecting more. I mean, and I don't really know the climate of women's football in France. I know it. I mean, from what I know, I think it struggles to get a lot of crowds.
If we're gonna go to Montpellier and PSG, I mean, we had a Montpellier, we had an ethics derby. We that 5-0 was an ethics derby right there. But Jesus, I mean, don't invite Mary Fowler to that game, I guess. But my God,
No, I just think that they should be expecting more. And I know that the game is practically meaningless, but it is technically like the Chelsea Arsenal of the league of
Well, yeah,
of
it's
France.
Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea, Arsenal, Real Barca.
Yeah.
Real Barca. It's the top two. It's the two most successful French sides going at each other. I think it'll be a good precedent. I think it's a good time for Lyon to whip out their full squad for the first time in a bit. I don't know what it looks like now. I don't know what the Lindsay Heaps factor is right now. I don't know what if she's mentally checked out or if she's going to do a Stanway, finish off the season strong.
I don't think she's a Yank. She's not mentally checked out. No way. She's
Yeah,
a Yank.
but it's interesting. It's an interesting precedent to set, especially with their run. I think she wants to leave with a huge legacy. And again, the Q word comes out only when we're speaking about Barcelona and Lyon personally. But
Well, all I can say is that Mary Earps cannot have a worse game than she did in the reverse leg of this fixture. I mean, that was just an abominable
yeah, I
performance.
mean, all eyes. I mean, she did keep a clean sheet against Montpellier, so all eyes on the Merps for the big derby. Maybe she can impact it a little bit, make a few saves, make it hard for Lyon. But I mean, Lyon did just drop points to Lons, so it's not like unheard of if PSG. This is the best form. You want to be going in with top form, with confidence and strength. And if they're going to win this game, it's going to be their usual suspects, Lukta, Kanjinga, and then Earps doing it on the other side of the ground. But we will go down under to our Rome Lukta, the talismanic performance from Holly MC.
That's offensive to Holly MC, to be honest.
Holly
with
MC.
you.
I mean, is it offensive that one's doing Holly Mac like things in Down Under and one's doing Holly Mac like things in France? Which one?
I just think Holly Mack is just a better player. That's crazy to say. I mean,
it is interesting. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think Holly Mac's ceiling is higher personally. I don't think Lukta would be able to thrive.
Could she do it in the
any
dub?
league in the world? Could she do it in the dub? That is the real. I mean, she could do it in a rainy, snowy day in Montpellier, but can you do it in the mites of Wellington? But we know that Holly Mack can do it in Perth after a 4,000-kilometre walk. But a 2-0 win away from home, 11 in 11, MC 11. She is on fire. She loves Teresa Morrissey. It's not her fault. It's not Teresa's fault. She actually had quite a good game, but there was some weird moments in our game. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't particularly impressed with the first half. I thought our actual chance creation. Again, I talk about this all the time. Who do you want the ball to fall to when you're taking shots? My answer is not Stott. I don't want Stott to be taking long shots like she's Pina. I don't want Stott to be headering 13-yard balls like she's Renard. And I don't want her to take pingers from the corner, from the 18-yard box like you're a centre-half. And when she was setting up chances later in the game, that's fine. I don't mind her doing that. But I just think there's a little bit of, like Devin Jackson was taking shots from 30 yards. Like, I love a bit of Ben ball. Like I'm all for like long. I believe that long shots are the way forward. They are the future of the sport, where we don't actually believe in the 18-yard box and we just shoot from the 18. We shoot from 25 and win the game from there. But my Delulu preconceived notions are not what have made this team a 3-in-a-row winning side. And we win with high percentage chances and taking 25 to 30 shots from 25 to 30 yards out is not how you're going to get one bound to go in. But, I mean, we'll talk about the first goal. If Turner meant that ball to Holly McNamara, I'll give her 25.
I do think she
I'll
did.
give her $25 million. But I just think that was a clearance. I think that was a clearance, and it swazzed perfectly into the path of McNamara. There's no way she's aimed that.
Can I say why I think that is? Because I've seen her do that before all season. Like, it's that ball to Holly Mack has been a feature of your game, and it's actually the thing that's
but not in the air. Not in the air. Like it's been along the ground. Along the ground, we play like I can see McKenna and Davidson playing them deep lying balls, and that's great. But the whip around like that,
I've seen it.
That was like scary. That was like De Bruyne, like perfect ball of the center. Like
City brand.
Viv in the edge of the corner when she's like iced out, whipping the ball over to Bunny. Like that was ridiculous. But then, I mean, as soon as Holly's 1-on-1, you kind of just put it in the goal sheet. You just tick it off the box. You have your bingo card is safe, the middle square, and then I breathed again. Finally, I mean, if I'm going to talk about the best parts of our game, it's the fact that they had 0.16 xG. They had no sniff at goal. We let them have 5 shots. None of them were close. They were all low percentage or blocked, and that's down to our defense playing much more wisely than we have been the last 3 weeks. I'm glad we brought that back because it gives you a level of confidence. Obviously, being 1-0 up is a bit nerve-wracking, but I felt so much better in the 71st minute when Devon Jackson, who I really like, by the way, I think there's an argument to put her in ahead of Uchendu. I think Uchendu is a different type of player, the archetype of that brute, aggressive powerhouse who can hold up play, be a menace in the box. But Jackson, the speed at which she plays, the way she plays with her back to goal, and then the balls she can play, the ball she played for Briley Henry, I just don't think Uchendu can do. And that got played up. Briley Henry drags all the defenders towards her perfectly, plays that ball back to McNamara, and as soon as Macca's in that position, the near post strike was there.
It wasn't a good strike, in my opinion.
It was enough. It was in the goal, mate. That's what a good strike is. She could have missed the target. She could have hit the post. She could have struck the post as hard as she wanted. It wouldn't have been as good as that, as Ladub Goat does it one more time.
I really thought that she would go for the hat trick so she could do the double fixture hat trick. I would have loved that.
That would have been wild,
which she got the hat trick against Perth last time. But I think what's really interesting is that the possession was basically equal, but you overperformed your XG. So your XG was 1.16 and you overperformed it. So
I mean, they were both low percentage chances. And then the XG, if you're talking about that second shot, she was getting closed down. She hit the near post. It's a very low percentage shot going in. But it didn't look like we were going to lose. And I'm very excited that we're back in winning ways, back at the top of the table, but with a little bit more comfort. I know it's different because ultimately, I mean, CCM dropping points, we'll get to that eventually, but the reality is that when we were drawing games, losing games, our top of the table just does look null and void because we look gettable. But that was a reminder to the competition that it's hard to score against us, and it's not going to be miserly every week, but that should be the standard that we set defensively.
Well, you said that you didn't think that you were going to lose. If we flip over to the other side of Melbourne, I never thought that we were going to win. Like, to be completely honest with you.
Oh my God. Your game. So I had your game on. I had your game on in the back while I was just doing some work, right? And my God, it was so enthralling and gripping because it was so painful. Like, all I was thinking is I need to message my friend and hope she's okay because Kennedy White is just not taking chances. The players not taking chances. You're talking about the original derby last week. This is Melbourne v Sydney. This is rivalry. This is the big blue. Yeah, the big blue. This is Monash v Melbourne. this is as big as it gets. But oh my God, this was the big blue as in depression.
I need to have a moment for Kennedy White. I think it's important that we just take a step here and look at her game in the last 5 weeks. And in the last 5 weeks, I've noticed something. And it's something blaringly obvious that has really frustrated me. And it's the fact that 1v1, the exact same position, the exact same moment in games where we are either down or drawing and we can win a game, she's missing 1v1s. And it's so hilarious to me because she is your typical striker. She is your typical number 9, a Yank who is a brute and should be just easing these goals in. And she's missing these chances and they're costing us games. And because we've become so heavily dependent on someone like Kennedy White for our main distribution to goal, and our flanks are just not working. I mean, I don't know what's happening to Holly Furphy. She just hasn't got that instinct to goal anymore. Kennedy White does have that instinct. It's just that instinct is not being put into the back of the net. And so as a result, I mean, we can have the XG of dreams if we like, but it's about putting the ball in the back of the net, and that's not what we're doing, and it's costing us points and it's costing us games.
And I mean, you're talking about Furphy. I mean, when Teixeira came on, you were a lot more lively. You had a lot more chances at the end of the game. But again, it's it's the lack of Rihanna Polacina, right?
Yep.
She is a crucial linchpin in that midfield that allows you to get the space, opens up, brings defenders towards her so that you get the width. I feel like Furphy was very cramped. I felt like your midfield was getting beaten in the middle. I think the start of the game they were actually on top of you, which is more surprising. But I mean, there are players to come back. I still expect victory. Another day, this is a 3-0 win and Kennedy White has a hat-trick, right? But again, she's going to have those days. She's going to be out of form and she's currently out of form at the moment, but it only takes 1 or 2 games. And I think she's just one of those players who works off the metronome. As soon as she gets 1, it turns into 2 very quickly. And that's what happened at the start of the year. So you gotta see more from her, but ultimately, I can't really question her performance other than the finishing because she was getting in the positions. It's not
I agree.
It's not like she isn't creating chances. It's not like she isn't facilitated chances for. It's just put the ball in the back of the net and we can celebrate and be like, okay, you're the striker we paid for. But it's kind of sad. I don't really know what to make of it by the end of this year. I don't know when Polacina's back, but
she's back in the next 4 weeks. She's done her wrist. She's broken.
That's
it.
good. That's good.
I just think it's hilarious that these 2 teams are the most out of form teams. One is second last, the other one is 6th. Like at this point, you're going to have to be questioning. Is that banking of form early? Is that run of games early where we just didn't miss a game for months on end?
It's going to be
meaning
important.
that it means that when everyone's caught up, we're not going to be in that 6th place position. I'm not secure in 6th. I think that there are teams, not teams better than us, but teams that will beat us and will capitalize on the missed chances that we have. Like at some point, you're going to have to question midfield of Silvestre, Taylor Ray, and Rachel Lowe. Rachel Lowe. Yeah. Being out muscled, outbeaten by a player, Willa Pearson, who is 15, coming up from that centre back position, injecting herself into midfield. That to me is scary. Like I don't want to be beaten by a 15-year-old.
Yeah, I mean Pearson. I mean, again, we have to be clear in the sense of like Willa Pearson has been pretty decent when she performs this season. She had a great first game against McNamara as that got a lot of coverage. But again, we have to go back to the fact that without Heather Hines in goal, Sydney don't get a score draw out of this game, making 7 saves. It's not like you didn't have the moments. I still think Janchevsky is the answer, right? Like that is the one side of the pitch. My issue is that Furphy isn't a central striker. I think she needs to be wider. I don't know if Sakalis can play centrally. I don't know if you have that second striker without Polacina being able to support them from an advanced midfield position. It just doesn't work for the players you have.
And that's why we miss Polacina, because usually we perk a 4-2-3-1. And then from that perspective, we have at least Polly being a bit of an up and down midfielder in front of 2 kind of holders, right, in Rachel Lowe and whoever you like, Sylvester or whatever. But I just don't think that this is the form you want to be going into the next half of the season. I don't see us improving unless Polacina makes a miraculous recovery.
Yeah, I mean that is all I really have to say, and I hope your team does get back to its form, because the reality is that if you end up 6th, right, and you end up in the playoffs, I would be worried if I was Canberra, because the best of your lot can beat Canberra easily, and the best of your lot can beat Wellington or anyone in the top 6. Really, I don't think you're kind of in this position like Gotham would be, or Orlando Pride would be. You are a little bit Gotham like, in the sense of that you don't really string it together all that much. But when push comes to shove and we're in the finals, you won't win the league, but you can easily end up with that cup at the end of it. And I would argue that the cup at the end of it's more important. I think it shows when the players celebrate at the end of the year. There is just that the Guard of Honor is great, but you just want that cup at the end. It shows how you've ended the season and what you fought for at the end. And I think we're going to be going for the double the way we're playing. But the Knicks are looking fresh. Canberra looking. I mean, I don't know what's happened to Canberra. I think they're a little bit in the mud.
This is what I mean. I said this last week or a couple of weeks ago. Like, there's no consistency in the dub. Watch it for the fact that 1 week one team can literally be second, and then the next team could be out of the 8. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we just saw CCM drop their
This
drop
was
their
insane.
ball against the perennial right now. Looking, I don't know if they're going to be perennial for that long. Sydney FC better watch their back. But Western Sydney Wanderers recording their second win of the season. Holly Casper's doing the business. No amount of Annalise Rasmussen magic is going to be enough to stop the fact that Western Sydney doing this away from home. This is their first away win, which is very impressive.
This is Central Coast's first loss at home this season.
Crazy.
So Central
Absolutely
Coast
insane.
Stadium was supposed to be their fortress, and it was breached by the worst team in the dub, but a team that has actually picked up form. Now, I don't think this is perpetual form. I don't think that this is form that is going to be everlasting until the rest of the season. I mean, it was just a game where Central Coast were able to have the ball for a majority of the time and did nothing with it. And Western Sydney loved that. Western Sydney just were like, take the ball, do whatever you like. We'll catch you on the break, and we'll be efficient and we'll be clinical with our chances.
What do you think? What do you think of Casper's second goal? The second goal.
That was. I mean, I don't know where that's been all season. I mean, it's just been.
I mean, the header's mint, but the ball from Eunice, right? Oh my god!
That whole
passage of play.
Yeah, the whole passage of play. And to me, I mean, this just goes to show that Western Sydney Wanderers, like, for all their flaws and for all their faults, particularly in defence, I think that someone like Eunice is a player that can carry this team into at least, I mean, just for my Melbourne Victory heart, take over Sydney and have some sort of run of
that would be insane.
Third love. Yeah, I mean, I would love
Sydney
it.
end up bottom of the league,
amazing.
that would be wild. But I don't see it being. I feel like Perth and Newcastle are a bit far away, and they are in that pack. Like, it is wild that there is literally one game between second and ninth. Like,
there is one point between.
Like, you talk about the NWSL having player power and the cap and the soft cap and everything being equal. This is the model. This is you should be looking at this ladder like Kang should be looking at this ladder and being like, this is the model, right? This is what we want to see. Anyone can win it, because literally Newcastle Jets could be second next week. We have no idea what's possible right now. Anything is possible in the dub, and that's what makes it the greatest league south of the Southern Hemisphere.
I was just gonna say best league. Full stop.
Best league in the world. I mean, it's the second best. It's the second best tournament that was on this week, because the Champions Cup was on, and that was exciting. I mean, around the world results, if we're going to do that. But Arsenal beating Rabat Asfar. I mean, surely the first goal was exciting for you. I know that the tournament isn't, but Kadina Tostina is Leggy Dreamer.
That is a leggy ball to the max. I mean, you've talked about the back post Kadina header for weeks.
It's the
now.
dream. She is my favorite Arsenal player. She is my favorite Arsenal player at this point.
She's one of mine.
I think it's about time that I start respecting the number one liar in the world, by the way. no salt at all. But I'm glad Marnham scored. I'm glad Holmberg won a pen for Mariona to score. Yeah. I'm kind of sad Holmberg didn't take it. I kind of wish she did. But Smith, good enough. Marnham forcing Lessie's rebound.
What did you think of Lessie playing particularly in the striker position? This was very striker.
I'm sorry. I'm about to say something so harsh. This game reminded me of when you came down to play against the A-League All-Stars. I'm not even joking. That's how it felt. Russo in that game was like perennially up front, and it was a 1-0 win, Russo header. But Russo just didn't get the ball enough in that All-Stars game. Yeah. But in this game, she came on, did the business. She was fantastic. Again, it's not the second goal is much better, but I mean, I just think a better goalie saves those chances. A better defense holds that down a little bit better. But Marnham, I'm glad she gets her goal, because she is a confidence player and she deserves a winner. And you know who else deserved a winner? Corinthians deserved the winner. This is going to cost Gotham $800,000. by the way, $800,000 loss right now. Jess Carter, I hope you're paying it up, because you are the reason that ball went to the back post to Zanotti, El Capitan of Corinthians. Sao Paulo erupts with an 83rd minute winner. Amazing scenes. By the way, what it means for them, the way you celebrated when getting into the Champions Cup final compared to Corinthians. And my favorite thing of all is when Mariona went to the press conference, she said, we cannot overestimate the Corinthians. And she's not wrong. The Corinthians were miserly at the back. They were hard to beat. The chances they had on goal, Gotham, weren't good enough. I don't think Jaden Shaw, I don't think Lavelle were in the game.
Was outplayed this game, which is insane.
Absolutely ripped apart. And this is the thing, when they're out of form, they're not playing versus a team that is. It shows when you're on break, right? Like, it is just a little bit of a break. And I take this tournament with a grain of salt. No. I know the quadruple's still on, and I understand that. And if all goes right for Leggy and Arsenal, the quadruple technically is still on for three clubs in the 3 clubs in England, 5 clubs in the world, which would be impressive if we were.
You get a quadruple. You get a quadruple.
Imagine if Chelsea wins a treble and Arsenal wins a double. There's magic all over London, and then we have a red and blue. We have a Charsenal parade, parade together where the fans throw bottles at each other. By the way, we didn't even talk about that. By the way, the fan. I don't want to talk about it. That was wild. That was insane.
You know what I do want to talk about with fans, though? I want to talk about the primary school kids from West London going to the Corinthians game and going absolutely bananas in the crowd. And my dad was like, is it because they couldn't sell tickets? And I was like, whoa,
no, how dare you? How dare you?
The backbone of football right here, getting a bunch of school kids in like high-vis jackets, swinging like scarves around for a team that they have they couldn't put it on a map, but it is.
I would hope they. The only reason they couldn't put it on a map is because Corinthians is in Sao Paulo, and it's not like Sao Paulo FC.
When I was a primary school student, I didn't even know where Brazil was on a map. So I'm just going based off of my own personal, story of geography and geography class. But
that's fair. I don't expect everyone to know where Corinthians is. I do now, but after this win, I think this is an important win. I'd be very excited to see what happens in this final. I hope they make it a final, which would make it quite interesting, put the intensity high. Where is the game? I believe it is
it's at the
England.
Emirates, yeah.
Emirates. So that will be an exciting precedent. KANG presenting you the trophy if you win, which is even more precedent for the Kangmunist to do the business. But that kind of covers everything. Club America, Tigre is still doing the thing. Club America unbeaten in the Feminil. Gabby Garcia, another goal. Jace yet to play. I think she's still injured, won't be back for a little bit. But that covers all the football we have for this week as we move into the transfers. Alicia Lehman. This is what did you say? 3 clubs in 2 years. She is the ultimate journeywoman. She's the ultimate journeywoman. She's Arkema bound soon eventually. I think that's the only one she's got left in the mix.
Oh, she's so PSG pilled.
Yeah, 100%. Kanjinga leaves and then she slots into that right side. But we have Katie Zellem, who she did play a few games for LCL.
Yeah. She played a good couple games,
Yeah, it would have been at the start, I guess, before they got
I think it was like 15 games or 11 games.
Yeah, but it would have been before they got Gioro in the sense of they have better players now, especially with DVD coming back. But she's taken her loan to West Ham. I wonder what that means, whether she gets in the midfield. I think she does.
I think she does, yeah.
I don't know what it means for Guarino's system. I felt like she still has to fight for the position. West Ham weren't terrible last week.
I don't think that she's a system player. I don't think that she particularly fits or doesn't fit some systems, because I think that she just is that player, that leader in the center of the park. But at the same time, she can't get back to the levels of that we saw in 21 and 22, just because they were her peak. At Manchester United, they were her peak, and she's not been on a downward trajectory since. I kind of hope that she picks up form at West Ham, but it's in the same league against the same opposition that she struggled with already.
And it's with lesser teammates as well, in the position. I don't know if it's lesser form, but it's lesser teammates, and will be exciting to see if she can resurge the latter stages of her career, I guess. But we're going to talk about another team in the NWSL who just missed out on the playoffs last year. And if they're going to make playoffs this year, it's going to be with signings like this. Evelyn EJ, one of the players we've been talking about for quite a bit of time, AC Milan's poacher, talisman, fox in the box. I don't really know how to describe her because she is a little bit of a enigma when it comes to that forward play. She can play small, she can play big.
Well, she's a typical Swedish striker, isn't it?
I guess she is number 8 in the pecking order of Swedish strikers. But will she be an interest to Courage? Will she help Courage get over the line? Will she suit NWSL ball?
I think she will. I think she'll suit NWSL ball. I think she gets into the team for all intensive purposes. I'm happy. I think this is Mark Linz, who's then her new coach coming from Häcken. I think that that's his first signing. He's looking to introduce Swedish players. He's looking to do the Jonas, basically coming into a team, in putting in a Swedish brand or a European brand of football into the NWSL. And it's not crazy, this is not like some sort of rogue thing to do. Like Swedish ball and Yank ball are very similar in terms of having direct football being played for 90 minutes. But I don't know. I think that she could be a star. I think she can be a star, and I think that this will become an underrated signing. But for her, this to me is a lateral, even like a downward move for a player I thought would stay in Europe and even go somewhere like the WSL, like the Bundes, just somewhere that could have challenged her. I don't think the NWSL is going to do that.
Well, we'll find out, really, but I did definitely have a dream when this signing came out where Murphy, their goalkeeper, flicks the ball, a long ping, Courtney Vine takes it down, drives up the pitch, and then whips the ball onto EJ's head for the winner against Gotham. I do see it in my head, but do I see it in reality? We won't know.
Is Courtney Vine in that?
Courtney Vine is at Courage in my head.
Yeah.
I don't think she
she is at Courage, so
yeah, exactly. I think she gains courage by being at Courage, and I think EJ should do the same. And I think Tuva Hansen should do the same at West Ham because Tuva Hansen was not getting a game at Bayern Munich. Again, this is in the Katie Zellem vein. Squeeze the last ounce of football out of these players before they die.
This is a generational Barclays West Ham window. I mean, if you had told me,
at least a January window.
If you had told me that these are the players that West Ham were going to bring in for a second half of the season, and they weren't going to be on loan, and they were going to be permanent deals, I would have been so surprised. They would have been topped off if they actually got Alicia Lehman as well. I mean, this would have been topped up as the most Barclays. But I mean, I like the Tuva Hansen move. I like Tuva Hansen as a player. I don't think she is at her prime. I don't think that she will reach her prime again.
She's not old. It's just a matter of form. It's just a matter of form. She's played. I from my recollection, she hasn't played a game for Bayern. I mean, she played one really late on at the end. It was like a substitute performance, but hadn't played for them other than substitute performances. I can't even remember the last time she started a game. I'm thinking before the 7-1 Barcelona, it would have been a league game before they played Barcelona, and then they had to play her as she's just mainstay second squad fodder for Bayern, right? Which is crazy, right? That's the level she was. So hopefully she can string in performances, get back to a semblance of form. I think the left side of West Ham was the side that was being exposed with players like Balumu. They need to cover that left side a bit stronger and to have the backup or the strength to start her. I think she'll suit the Guarino ball, especially the width in which they played against Leicester. I think it can only bolster. I don't think West Ham can do any wrong from the position they are in the table to bring in signings like this.
I think you're right, but I also think we're kind of over the era now with the Vamos merchants for these big teams. I think Tuva Hansen just became that. I think she became the PR person to do their socials with, and I think she wanted more. I think Bayern are looking for more depth in their squad that isn't just going to come on for
Who's your Vamos merchant?
It's Cadena, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say how dare. I was going to say it, but I was going to be how dare you? How dare you?
Who's your Vamos merchant? Who do you think you're?
What do you mean, Sergeant Coombsy, mate?
You reckon Sergeant Coombsy?
It's the Ween. It's the Ween. It's Ween Dream, mate. It's the Ween Dream. Ween Dream, Blue Moon, the GOAT, Laura Ween, mate. Yeah. That's ours. But I mean, the end of last pod, we were talking. I mean, I said my come on the pod was Victor Martin. He actually can come on the pod now because right after we ended the pod, we saw he was sacked, which was crazy. And now they've brought in Jose Herrera, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what this means for them, but it was a necessary change. Geez, the form that Atleti were in, about to be in a UWCL game of their life, a double legger against United. They have to win this game, and I want to see them fight for it. I want to see them make it hard for United. I want them to make sure that United's second squad have to win their WSL games. Put the pressure on United the same way the pressure is on you guys. It's just because you're behind Sociedad, you've got a lot of work to do if you're going to play Champions League football next year. But hopefully Herrera can be the one to inspire change.
Herrera, I think, was most significant. His most significant run was as an assistant coach. I think his time as a main head coach has been mostly triumphed in Al Hilal, which I don't watch the Saudi league, so I can't tell you how good or bad he is.
They are second. That's all I know. But
Fantastic.
again, it's not
Like,
it's not enough. It's not enough to know that like he's an interest. There's an interesting precedent in the sense that he did work with Maestro as well. He was at Tenerife, and he
got
has
them
done his rounds.
semi-final, right?
Yeah,
He got them semi-final.
he's definitely done his rounds. He's a young coach, but definitely got experience for a person who is relatively young. And I don't know what I would like to see his style of football a little bit more aggressive in comparison to the individual brilliance. I'd like it to be more rigid in its structure. That when I say aggressive, I'm saying aggressive from manager to player, not necessarily aggressive on the pitch, because ultimately when you have players like Sariegi, Fiamma, Luani, you will get aggression, you will get firepower. It's just about actually honing in, like shielding and like condensing the output that they get, which is what I'm excited to see from a new manager at a club that I want to succeed. I think they're really, really good. And when they're on, they style on teams and they play fun football. They did play some really fun football under Martin, but maybe they can play more considerate and profitable football. I guess that's the way to look at it. As we move into the one and only rumor that's come out of this week, the craziest rumor, the rumor that puts up McCabe on the back wall, right? It is the question, Ona or McCabe, as Ona has direct links out of contract with Barcelona at the end of this season. And who is ringing the phone? It is the Hail End. It is your lot, Arsenal Women's Football Club, Ona Battier. What do you think?
I'm so chuffed. I'm so glad for this potential move. And I just want to quickly say one thing. It is so small club mentality to say just because one player is coming in, that means another player has to leave.
Fox is gone. Fox is gone. She has to be gone. What did the Fox say about this?
Well, the Fox said that she's happy at Arsenal. And if whatever the Fox says, I believe personally.
I believe the Fox. She went that way.
But no, I think that, in my opinion, Ona coming in is only going to boost our squad. And for there to be competition, we've already seen it. Fox is better because Holmberg is her competition. For all intensive purposes, McCabe is better because Taylor Hines is there breathing up her neck, particularly in the first half of the season. So I don't necessarily think that just because one player is leaving, that means that the player coming in needs to be like this star-studded amazing player, as we saw with Lundqvist, Holmberg.
Yeah.
But Anya Battier is so obviously an improvement. Like it is so obviously an improvement, so much so that this could literally win us. And I know it's going to sound funny. This could literally win us a quadruple. Like the whipped in balls.
But you're saying what you said before, right? So you're saying like you currently have 4 fullbacks, right?
Yeah.
If Ona comes in, I'm not saying it's a bad, regardless of whether it's good or bad isn't the question. The question is one of those players gets less game time and all 4 of them get relatively less game time based on the fact that she will start, right? I think Hines would be the one that falls short of that. Personally.
I don't think so.
But she can play centre back, which I do think is useful for her. Like I think the reality is that if Fox is staying, there's no way it's Fox or Battier. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's both. It has to be both.
It is another small club mentality thing as well to believe that your players can only play in one position. Personally, for me, Fox is the player that I would least want to play on the left, and that's because
Mm.
I've seen her on the left and it's not as good as it is on the right. But I've seen Anya Battier play on the left, and I've seen her play it in the WSL. I've
Yeah.
seen other players play on the left as well,
Mm.
including, and I haven't seen this personally for Arsenal, but I do know and I have heard that Holmgren could also play on the left. It's about cover when we need it. It's about
Sure.
anticipating. It's about anticipating injuries, and it's
Yeah.
also about increasing what we already have. We already have an amazing world-class team. Bringing
Yeah.
Anya Battier can only be a
You've got a
positive.
world-class squad. I don't even think it's a world-class team. I think it's a world-class squad. I agree with you in the sense of that. It's not like they're not going to Arsenal to be made happy. They're going to Arsenal to be the best, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's ambitious. I would love to know what's going on in Renee's head and how she wants to use
I
it.
don't want to know what's going on in Renee's head.
Because
I don't wanna know.
I don't think like I'm pitching the questions to you a little bit like fruitfully because I want to know what you think. But the reality is that there's no option that is bad. There's no wrong answer of how to use Ona and Fox and McCabe, right? Like the only thing I would say if I'm gonna play the card is dominant foot versus versus recessive foot. Like, I'm not saying Ona's left foot is bad. It's just not McCabe's. So that extra touch she has to take to control the ball and take the ball down the line, you will feel it. You will see it in a press. And again, it doesn't mean that Ona's going to be bad on the left. I don't think that by any means. I think it's been 3 years since she's played on the left. But that being said, I would personally, I would like to see Ona further forward because I think there is something about Arsenal that is inherently press. When your best games are when you press high, and when you press high, you press aggressively, and there's a difference between Beth Mead coming at you, pressing you with all the speed that she has left at the end of her career, and a prime Ona Battier coming in, pressing from higher up, having the aggression, playing alongside Foxy, being able to give Foxy more cover to progress and invert, and I think that's what Arsenal fans like to see. Foxy doing that little invert run. She takes those strikes. It's really impressive. But for me, there is nothing wrong. There should be nothing wrong with bringing in Battier. 100%. I'd stand by that 100%.
And I do want to mention, though, that I think it's important with McCabe. Like, obviously, I'm not saying this to just chuck her out of the club. It's a bit like Beth Mead. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. And I think what Beth Mead has shown, especially in the first half of the year, but now coming off out of the break, having a fantastic game against Chelsea, is that she is irreplaceable. Really, right now, she's irreplaceable. McCabe is also, for some intensive purposes, irreplaceable. You mentioned it with the left foot. It's just how we're going to revolve this squad. Are we going to make formation changes? It'll be interesting. I'm interested. That's all I have to
But
say.
I don't know. I'm just gonna regurgitate some AWFC Twitter rubbish because it's fun, right? Like, I don't know. Do you need a left winger? Do you need more than just Ona? Is Ona the priority? I think Ona is so fun. I think it's a fun signing
I do
because
too.
she has the versatility. She's not just a right back. She's not just a left back. I think she wants to play further up on the pitch. I think it's different when you're going up against Caro and then you're going up against Mido or Smith or Kelly, and she'd back herself in to be like, you know what? I have more attacking capabilities, and I showed it in the WSL last time I was here. And I think there is a little bit of arrogance in Ona coming back to the WSL. It's I was the best. I was the best right back in the league for a season. I went to the best club in the world. I won everything. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to show everyone that the level there is way better than the level here. And I'm gonna prove to you all that I'm still the best right back in the world. And I think I actually would rate it so highly if she took the Arsenal as like the opportunity to be like, I've gone from the best club in the world to what some consider to be the best club in the world, and fit seamlessly in, be the outlet, be the different versatile option that Renee needs, because ultimately none of your players are in fixed positions at this point. I think calling a spade is ridiculous when you have wingers playing both sides, you have fullbacks playing both sides, you have centre halves who never play with the same pairing week in, week out. It's a hard work playing for Arsenal Football Club when there's so much like chaos going on, but you make it work. And I think Ona is comfortable at Barca. It's easy. If she locks up a contract, they're great. But there is something really, really exciting about her moving.
I think just quickly on two things. I think another left winger would be great if someone like Caitlin Ford leaves. Obviously, that'll be a necessity. I do think our greatest position that we need to fill is that central defensive midfield spot. So that's why I'm so
I thought you
keen
don't
on
want one.
I'm not saying that. That's not me. That's
Yeah.
the god Renee Sledges right there. So I don't. I know that
I
they're
don't
going
even think
for
it's
a-
Renee. I think it's the sporting. What was it? What's her? What's
I
the
don't-
sporting director's
Claire
name? I
Wheatley.
forgot. Yeah,
Claire
it's
Wheatley.
King
Claire Wheatley doesn't know ball.
Claire knows. King Claire knows ball. She's a Champions League winner.
I am no, but I also think that you also have to take the idiosyncrasy of the Woso into this. I mean,
Yeah.
Anya Battier wants to move to London for obvious reasons. We don't have to go over those reasons.
Ayo.
But she wants to stay. She wants to come to London for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
And so for that respect, it's actually funny to me that Chelsea aren't going for her, which I just think is interesting.
Oh,
and,
they
and
have two. They have two of the other best right backs in the world.
But we have two great right backs
And
too,
yeah,
so
I mean,
it's like-
but it's
it's
different.
strange.
I still think it's different.
They need
I
a
think,
left back, though.
I think they need a left
Chelsea
back,
need
and
a left
Ona
back.
could do that. But again, it depends on the formation Sonia wants to play. It depends on what they want. I think they need a 9 personally.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
agree.
I think Myra's not. I don't know when she's back. I don't know what the plan is. I think Kerr is going to be away. I think relying on Aggie, I mean, the start of the year was good, but it dropped off a bit. We don't know what the plan is for them, but ultimately, Ona should be hot commodity. Should be, but we don't really know. And I think, you know what, if she has to settle in London on the red side, then that's fine. And I think it's exciting to see her back in the WSL because we know what she's capable of, and I can deal with it in an Arsenal shirt, but I can't deal with it in a United shirt. So, I mean, again, you're apparently after Stanway still, and with Stanway in the midfield 6-8 spot, I don't know what it means, but the double pivot will be safe. And Arsenal look like a scary outlet in 2026 as we move into the Benchwarmers Awards. Who are we going to start with? Never bench again for you.
Yeah, for me, it has to be Lizzie Turland. And I know
Disgusting.
this is crazy.
Disgusting.
I know you hate her.
You filthy being. How dare you?
I do this all the time, and you know why I do it, because I want them eventually to get the Leggy curse.
Yeah.
But I do
But
think
it doesn't work. It doesn't work
does
for
work.
United
It
players.
does
It works
work.
for Chelsea players, but
it works for everyone. It works for everyone.
we
But-
pray. We pray.
But Lizzie T came on, and I don't know whether this is just because I'm a bit anti-Schuler, anti-pilled of Schuler.
Also filthy.
Yeah, I know,
How
but
dare
I
you.
just think for how United are playing, the system that they're playing, the way that she came in and just took charge of that game, I think that she's kind of irreplaceable at the moment. Especially
She's
with
the
how they're
Manchester.
playing
She's
well.
the Manchester Steiner. She's the
Yeah.
Manchester Steiner.
Yeah,
She has to
basically,
be.
yeah.
Like she takes the worst shots I've ever seen, and they go in, and I think to myself, how, why, where, and what?
Those headers,
Yeah.
those headers.
Yeah,
that's what
the
I-
headers, the low drivens. The first time, her intuition is sublime. I will
Yeah.
give her that. But my never bench again is a UWCL edition because I don't know if Vicky Besho could score a triple hat trick in the league or 3 assists and 5 goals. And ultimately, she wouldn't start for Leon at this point. And I think it's ridiculous. I think she's so good. I think the fact that she's been shoehorned into just cups and leagues is harsh. I think if they're up in the first leg of a UWCL leg against, let's say they win the first game against VFL or Juve 2-0, 3-0, that she should be coming in and finishing off the game, getting a goal. She should be getting Champions League minutes because it helps her a lot. And I just think she's so France pilled, she's so Lyon pilled, she's so international pilled. I can see her being the next in line to take the front three to town. I think she's better than Mallard. You can hold that where it is. I think she's that. I think she's the real deal. And if she's not going to get the time at Lyon, then I don't see her leaving because I think she wants to be a mainstay and thinks she'll be there for 10 plus years, which is pretty impressive. But that's where I sit. My super sub, I mentioned her before, Buhega Baddie, Buhega Baller. This may be a little bit of lateral thinking, but she could become the most famous person from Malta since Edward de Bono, known for his pioneering of the concept of lateral thinking. So I'm excited. Every time I watch her, she's box office. She's the Maltese Stina. She's the Maltese Messi. She's the Maltese Bon Maltese, like Aitana Bon Maltese. But I rate her so highly, and I want to see her more for Inter Milan.
My super sub is Mia Enderby. I think it's kind of obvious. I mean, the performance against Spurs, it's
Yeah, the super sub was
double
magic.
helps me because it's against Spurs, obviously.
Yeah, of
But I mean, I
course.
can't deny the fact that the player has been incredible. I mean, what is it now? 3 goals in 2 games. Like this is a player who came out of literal obscurity. Like if we're talking about the first half of the season, I mean, not getting enough game time, not really fitting into that Gazball system, and now all of a sudden picking up incredible form. I don't know. I'm really happy for her. I don't know. She's a bit of a
I
leggy
mean,
baller, I think.
they needed a player after Beta Olsen went down, and this is their answer. And I mean, on the same vein, my come on the pod, it could have been Jess Carter. It was this close, but I felt like that was a bit harsh for a Champions Cup game to put her in.
You were scared to get cancelled.
I would have loved to do it. No, I'm never scared to get cancelled. Do you know the last segment of this show? I am never scared to get cancelled. But I have put in Sumanen Gerrard, Slippy Sumanen, didn't even get like that. Like they're 1-0 down. They're 1-0 down. 93rd minute. The goal's gone in. You're about to set up the attack to get the ball forward, and then you slip and fall. It was. Honestly, like all I could think of was Gerrard. I was it's so sad because Sumanen has had a really good year. It's such a shame, and bless her, like dead ball specialist, Finnish goat, love her, but nah, not this week. I think she can take a break, come on the pod, enjoy the fun of sitting down, comfortable and balanced. But who is your come on the pod?
Yeah, my come on the pod is Lani Kennedy, and
God,
this
you're
is a
evil.
come on
You
the
really
pod.
are evil.
This is a come on the pod like before the Asia Cup, squad is announced. I just wanted to come on the pod and tell me why she deserves to be on the bus. It's not really a plane. It's the bus. I don't care, Ben. I don't care. It is a liability at this point. I'm not even a Tilly's fan, and this is a liability to have Alana Kennedy in this squad, let alone in the back line. And I know Jomo is testing out the number 6 position for Alana Kennedy. Personally, I think that's worse. I mean, you're already losing the ball behind the goal, behind.
But it won't be. It will be her ending. It will be her ending games, not her starting game.
Why would you want her to end games? What is she ending games in? Like, is she going to end the career of the end of these games?
No,
like,
she's not going to end the Tillies. We're going to be 2-3-0 up, and then Gori needs to come off to play with Harper, and then Lani will come in, right? And I think it'll be Winnie or Nevin or Cat. No, it'll be Catley and Hunt, and then Nevin or Rankin on the left. I think it should be Rankin. The Jomo probably thinks it should be Nevin, and we can see the magic. But I mean, it's cruel, but I do understand it. She weren't great against us.
She hasn't been great. This is the thing. She's gone to London City. She plays in the WSL, and she's not the standard. And to me, the Asia Cup is not like the World Cup. This is not a tournament that is going to test these players to extremes. But I don't know. You would rather
it'll test us when we play Japan. It'll still test us. That's the game.
You'd rather be blooding in good players and not having to carry around the waste that is Alana Kennedy. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think she needs to be in the squad. I don't think she needs to be in the 11, and I don't disagree with that.
Just take her out of the squad.
I don't think that level, but I understand your point. As we move to what would Kang do part 21. This is actually the third installment, part 3 of the Kangmunist Manifesto. For anyone who hasn't seen the last two, what are you doing with your life? It is the best thing we do. Every 7 weeks, we talk about the laws, the economic quotes of history that link to Kangmunism and how basically it is the crux of why we do this pod anyway. But we are doing part 3, which we are going to go to decrees 15 to 21. I hope you're excited about this. This is a bit of fun. This is a bit of a special, by the way. So I'm going to give you the decree number 15, and all of them are a subset underneath that, which is really cool. So decree number 15 is Kangonomics doesn't work if you don't have followers. Loyalists who allow your cause to work in the spirit of greater good. But it's one thing to follow, but another thing to make your idols become a part of the law, which is true, right? Yeah. You want followers. You need a Karl Marx, but you need everyone else. You need everyone else. You need the social commentary. You need the marketing. You need everything about it. So I've created for Kang, I've done it for her, to explain all her economic techniques with the idols of Kang, the Kang army doing it. So we're going to start with 16A. I mean, 16A, Decree 16A is Tobe insider trading, right? So obviously, Tobin Heath's insider trading. Have your friends involved in the lion's share of the pie so that they love you like they love the game. Look at them on CBS. You're telling me that isn't Tobe insider trading? I don't think there's anything less, and I don't think there's anything less beautiful than the lions of the lion's share getting to lie in front of everyone else and share all their stories about how important KANG is to the institution that is women's football. But we will move straight into 17B, which is an amendment. It's actually an amendment on what would KANG do 1, Decrees 5 and 6. We had Kangsian economics, as we were right? So we talked about KANG's ways show how to run Woso, yeah? It's important to know that Kangsian economics is crucial. But they have now been renamed to Darian Jankensian economics, right? This is crucial. This is crucial. This is everything we need to know. Like everything Jankensian economics tells us is that she said everything you want to hear. She's told us it's about the right way to run Woso. The right way to run Woso is with a lot of courage, a lot of North Carolina courage to support KANG's spirit so openly. So then we move to 18C. We have Diary of a Wimpy KANG Rodman rules as we have the hipster ruling, capital HIP and hipster, high impact play. I think Rodman is the highest of impact for players. And I mean, the ruling means that her club is under the war crime that is the NWSL salary cap, which continues to put down big money to retain second place. I mean, that's the important part, is that we don't actually realize that KANG isn't trying to win, because if her clubs win too much, then the sanctions will come. But if Washington finish second every year, then what she's doing is okay, and the retainment is clear. So I think the Rodman rules are exciting, and I'm excited to see KANG Heffley do her business, and this is what we're expected from the Spirit. But we will move into more economic theory. I think it's the hip rule is fun, but let's talk about 19D, which is the Nikita per risk reward ratio. I mean, never invest in something you can't make money off or gain social clout from, though the said investment is probably low key all the profit she needs. So it doesn't really matter if she's making profit in it now. It's 20 years, 30 years down the line. We will know she's making profit because she's still around. She wouldn't be in the sport if she weren't doing it. But it is excited to see the illusion of a per risk reward ratio. Yeah. Then we have 20E. I think this is my favorite decree so far. This is Esme capital more gains versus Saki income Kuma gains, right? So it's capital gains versus income gains, right? Why do we buy players? You buy a player. The player does well for over a 12-month period, because obviously capital gains only qualify for a 50% discount if they're held over 12 months. Sell the player, scout new player to replace, and then repeat with your income Saki Kuma gains, right? This is the key. This is the KANG model. This is the most exciting thing we've ever written. I've worked so long on working out the difference between the capital more gains and the Saki income Kuma gains. So I'm excited to finally release that to the world, with the last one being 21F, cost variability, assets and liabilities, and equity, shortened to Kosovare Aslani. Basically, very simple, very, very good false nine Swedish economic model for KANG that allows any Kangmunist to recognize what the elements of their club is and keep their club going. What becomes similar to Calcio debt, or as KANG would call it, Scudetto. This is why KANG has no Italian team. She hasn't invested in the Calcio debt because the Scudetto is too high, but she's maximized variability and she's developed success in the market by using the Kosovare Aslani model. And that is all we have from 15 to 21. That is part 3 of the Kangmunist Manifesto. I think there is a lot to learn from KANG and her minions, and I think it is exciting to know that there will be more. There will be so many more minions. There will be so many more items to go through. We didn't even get to Van der Donk, who's just started her KANG journey. We're going to have more players at the Spirit. there's just so much more to come, and I'm so excited as we wrap up What Would Kang Do Part 21. Crazy we got to 21. It's basically a mini series at this point, but that wraps up our podcast for this week. Bless you all. We are on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, vibes on TikTok this week, especially after the Barcelona TikTok. People love hearing about the youngsters of Barcelona. We might have to shill Barcelona a bit more for some more views, but yeah, exciting stuff. There's views all around. We are here every week.
Every week?
Every week. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a fantastic week.